You ever have one of those days, where you feel like you're working super hard but not really getting anywhere? Like there's just too much stuff getting in the way. Well, today we're going to talk about lean management. It's this really powerful way of thinking that's all about systematically hunting down and getting rid of that stuff, the waste, so you can create way more value with a lot less work. Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's what we've got lined up. We'll kick things off by talking about the main problem, which is waste. Then we'll journey back in time to post-war Toyota to see where this all started. From there, we'll break down the core principles, look at the actual tools you can use, see the kind of results people get, and then we'll talk about your next step. To really get what lean is all about, you first have to understand its enemy. And believe me, that enemy has a name: waste. Now, I've got a question for you, and it's going to sound a little weird at first. What does your company, no matter what you do, have in common with a simple supermarket? Just hang on to that thought for a bit. We're definitely coming back to it, and the answer is actually one of the biggest keys to the whole lean system. So, in Japanese, the word for waste is muda. This is the concept at the absolute center of everything. It means any activity, any material, any moment in time that eats up resources but adds zero value from your customer's point of view. The entire mission of lean is just to relentlessly find and crush muda wherever it's hiding. The guy who basically invented this system, Taiichi Ohno from Toyota, he identified 7 key types of waste. We're talking about things like overproduction, making too much stuff before anyone even wants it, or waiting, just any time people or machines are sitting idle. Even just moving materials around more than you have to, or having piles of inventory just sitting there collecting dust. He also pointed out wasted human motion, doing extra steps in a process that the customer couldn't care less about, and of course, defects that you have to fix later. Every single one adds cost, but not a drop of value. Lean wasn't dreamed up in some business school lecture hall. It was literally born out of a crisis. To get it, we've got to go back to Japan right after World War II.
The idea is actually built up over a long time. It started way back with Frederick Taylor's work on scientific management, and it was definitely influenced by Henry Ford's incredible assembly lines. But the real spark happened after 1945. Toyota was facing a totally devastated economy with hardly any resources. They just couldn't compete with the giant American car companies. So this engineer, Taiichi Ohno, knew they had to find a completely different, much smarter way to work. And that supermarket question? Well, in 1956, Ohno visited the US and saw how a grocery store's shelf only got refilled after a customer bought something. That was his light bulb moment for a pull system. It's funny, the name lean didn't even exist until 1990, when some MIT researchers wrote a book about how revolutionary Toyota's system really was.
And this quote just nails the whole philosophy. See, Ohno figured out that if you design a system with almost no buffer, no extra inventory, no extra time, then any little problem, like a broken machine or a bad part, becomes painfully obvious, immediately. It forces everybody from the brand new person on the line all the way up to the CEO to stop, think, and solve the root cause of the problem so it never happens again. So, how did Toyota actually organize this new way of thinking? Well, they pictured it as a house, a really strong, stable house where every single part has a critical job to do. Yeah, they call it the TPS house because just like a real house, everything has to work together. The roof, that's your goal: highest quality, lowest cost, and the fastest delivery time. But that roof is held up by 2 massive pillars, just-in-time and judoka. Right in the middle of the home, the heart of the home, you have people and this idea of continuous improvement. And none of it works without a rock-solid foundation of stability and standardized work. If you pull out any one of those pieces, the whole thing just crumbles. Let's zoom in on those 2 pillars for a second. First, you've got just-in-time, or JIT. That's all about flow. It's the simple but radical idea of making only what the very next step in the process needs, exactly when it needs it. This just vaporizes huge amounts of waste from inventory and waiting. Then you have judoka. You can think of it as automation with a human touch. It gives any machine or any person the power to stop the entire production line the second a problem is found. This prevents a bad part from ever moving on. So you see, one pillar is all about speed and flow, and the other is all about perfect quality. And right there in the center of the house is Kaizen. Now, this isn't about some huge, expensive project handed down from the top. Kaizen is a philosophy. It's the belief that everyone, everywhere, every single day is on the lookout for small ways to make their own work just a little bit better. It's about tapping into the brainpower of your entire team to drive constant, small improvements. Okay, so the philosophy is great, but how do you actually do any of this stuff? Let's open up the toolbox and look at the practical methods that make lean happen. The engine that drives all this improvement is called the PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act. It's basically the scientific method for your job. You plan a change you want to make, you do it, but just as a small test. Then you check the results to see if it actually worked. And finally, you act. If it was a success, you make it the new standard. If not, you learn from it and start the cycle all over again. It's just a nonstop loop of learning and improving.
But look, before you can start improving a process, you have to get your house in order. The absolute foundational tool for this is called 5S. You can see the 5 steps here, but look what's right in the middle. Self-discipline. That's the secret sauce. 5S isn't about a big cleanup day once a year. It's about building the habits and the discipline to keep your workplace organized and efficient all the time.
The steps themselves are actually pretty simple. First, you sort. Get rid of all the junk you don't need. Next, you straighten. Put everything you do need in a logical place. Third is shine. Clean everything up. This is great because cleaning often helps you spot problems like a small oil leak. Fourth, you standardize. Make simple, visual rules so it stays this way. And the final S, sustain. This is the hardest part, is making it a habit for everyone every day. And now, let's finally answer that supermarket question. The tool that was inspired by that visit way back in 1956 is called Kanban. It literally just means visual signal. It could be a card, an empty bin, or any other obvious signal that basically screams, hey, I'm ready for more work. So instead of management pushing work on people based on a guess, Kanban lets the process pull work forward only when it's actually ready. Just like you taking a carton of milk off the shelf signals the store to restock it.
And honestly, the Lean Toolbox is just packed with other amazing tools. You've got things like value stream mapping, which lets you draw out your entire process to see where the waste is. And one of my favorites, Poka-yoke, or error proofing, where you design a process so cleverly that it's physically impossible to make a mistake. Every single tool has the same goal: make the work simpler, safer, and clearer for everyone.
So why are companies all over the world, in every industry, from hospitals to software, using this stuff? Simple. Because it works. The results are incredible. Just look at this number. A 40 to 90% reduction in lead time. That's the total time it takes from when a customer places an order to when they get it. Slashing that time by that much, well, that's an absolute game changer.
And the benefits just keep coming. Your quality gets better because you're fixing problems right at the source. Costs plummet because you're not wasting resources. You get more productive. But here's a big one. Employee morale actually goes up. When people feel empowered to fix the problems in their own work, they become way more engaged and feel way more valued. This quote from Toyota just says it all, doesn't it? It's not about hiring a bunch of superheroes to fight a broken system every day. It's about building a brilliant process that allows everybody to do brilliant work.
Wow, okay, we have covered a ton of ground, from the big ideas to the nitty-gritty tools. So, what's your next step on this journey?
The single most important thing to remember is this. Lean is not a project. It doesn't have a start date and an end date. It's a totally different way of thinking. It's a commitment to a culture of seeing waste everywhere and continuously learning how to improve forever. Now, for anyone who wants to dive way deeper and really master this, CLT Services offers a fantastic Lean Six Sigma specialization. It gives you the structured knowledge and certification to really lead this kind of change in an organization. You can check out all the details on their programs over at their website, cltservices.net. So as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with one final question to chew on. After everything we've talked about today, take a hard look at your own work, your own daily routines. What is the very first piece of muda, of waste, that you're going to eliminate tomorrow?